Guys, I'm doing two things different today. First of all, I'm showing you what happens when Mrs. Greek is still asleep at 6:30 a.m. She's not here to help focus the camera and set the lighting. So I used my 4-year-old niece's stuffed animal that she leaves here. Thank you for the assistance. The other thing I'm doing is something I've never done for an amplifier before. We're talking about the Aric Audio 2A3 amplifier today. This beautiful piece. I think the stuffed animal's still in the way. Stay tuned. I'll tell you more about it. Guys, I'm Michael, the Greek audio geek. I am very excited today. In fact, this is the second take that I'm doing of this video. I filmed this yesterday afternoon, and I thought more about it overnight, and I said, you know what? I didn't convey concisely what I was trying to convey. So I'm trying to do a shorter format video where I convey everything that I'm feeling, my emotional connection or lack of it, and everything to you so you understand how I like this. I will say a couple of things. For those of you not familiar with my channel, I don't care about measurements. You can go play with your measurements. That's fine. I'm not disparaging them. I don't look at measurements. I don't look at any PR stuff that I get with any amplifier or cables or gear. I don't read any of the marketing spiel. I just don't care. It either sounds good and works in my system to my ear, or it doesn't, or something in between. And that's what I'm here to talk to you about today. So where I was going before my ADHD kicked in and I went off on that tangent is that I just totally forgot. I went on about the amplifier yesterday and my rating scale, but I'm not sure I conveyed concisely what I was trying to say. So first, let's start with this. This is how I rate gear to my ear. And this is going over 40 plus years of listening to stuff. Shows, not shows, rooms, showrooms, you name it. I have what I think is really crappy, which is a lot of stuff. I have what I think is which is a lot of stuff. Then it's pretty good, but it doesn't do it for me. Then there's very good. And now, by the way, very good by my rating is 15% of everything I've heard, maybe. It's not that much. It's stuff that I think other people could absolutely love, be happy with, and it could be their forever piece. And then there is the very sliver, and I can't put an exact number on this, but when I look over the decades that I've been doing this, I would say probably less than 15 components in my entire life have made it into that sliver of what I call magical. Now, what does it take for something to be magical? Completely subjective, completely to my system, my ear in this room, and who knows, you put it in a different room, it may sound different. And I'm not putting down anything else that doesn't reach that level to my ear. But for me to be magical, it needs to do several things. First of all, it needs to be from a company that supports its customers, that is a good company to work with, and that I feel is truly there to work with you and not against you. There are several companies who've got great products that, frankly, it's just not worth dealing with them or supporting their crap, okay? So they're ruled out right off the bat. Then there is, it needs to be able to do a wide variety of music. I listen to everything from opera to Louis Armstrong, Frank Sinatra, to vocal trance. And for me, not only does it have to have the magical touch on Louis Armstrong's voice or his trumpet or Frank Sinatra, you got to hear his swagger, you got to hear his attitude. But on the vocal trance, it's more than just, does it have bass? Does it sound a little bit slower than it should? Does it not make you, if it makes you get up and want to rave like you're at the rave, okay? How's that for a sentence? Then it passes my vocal trance test. But some vocal trance is recorded incredibly well, and some of it is not. Can it handle it all? Can it sound the best recordings? Can it make the female vocals sound angelic, like they're just like the clouds are breaking and it's there in front of you? Can it make you just feel a connection, yet hear all the complexities in the music that you normally wouldn't hear on many systems? So it's got a very wide variety for me to be magical. And most importantly, it needs to be something that not only could I live with, but I could live with it as my only piece. What do I mean by that? I had a Dennis Had 45 type tube amp here recently. Very nice amp. It was like $2,500. But for me, although it did some things well, did Louis Armstrong nice, did some opera nice, at 1.5 watts, 1.6 watts, it didn't have this scale. It couldn't really handle my vocal trance. I did better than it should, and I know that. But for me, I would still need to have that amp and then something else. So although it was very good, it didn't meet my needs across all my genres. The other thing is, due to its lack of wattage, it didn't have full-scale dynamics. Now, hold that thought. I know what you're going to say. You're going to say, Michael, it's only 1.6 watts. Well, this is only 3.6 watts. This is dual chassis. This is all made by Aric Audio himself. He does all the beautiful woodwork. He does all the interior. This is a 2A3. You can get a 300B. He's got preamps. I don't have one of his preamps, but he's got preamps. So he's got a variety of things. He also does custom work. So I would say reach out to him. It's not only 2A3. But when we look at the type of tubes and kind of where they fit, let's talk about stereotypes of tubes. A 45, typically about 1.5, 1.6 watts, is, I think a lot of people feel a full sound, and it's a very good connection to the music. Compare and contrast that to a 300B. Now, it's funny because in my world, now that I've got the Toby and 12FHs, they're about 98 dBs. It's funny because now 8 watts to me of a 300B is like high power. I don't need any 8 watts. I could just blow this room out. The 300Bs in comparison are definitely more romanticized. They're a little bit thicker, and I've tried a variety of 300Bs. So this is more or less, this is a generalization. And they don't give you the insight, it's one of my favorite words, not detail, insight into the subtle shading and the nuances of voices. What are they doing with the microphone? What is Louis Armstrong? Is he breathing in? Is he breathing out? Is he really, can you feel what he's doing with the trumpet or on the guitars? Some of the blues, old blues music we listen to, can you really feel what his fingers are doing against the strings? That is what I call the shading, the subtle shading that you will hear and have insight into on a 45 that a 300B completely misses. So for me, I've always wanted a 45, but more power. Come in the 2A3. Now, I've had a variety of 2A3s. In fact, I'm sending back now an Analog Ethos 2A3. It's about $2,000. Very nice. It's a great entry point into a 2A3. You can get it as a kit or pre-built. It does a lot of things right, especially at the $2,000 price point. This is $65-ish, $100. This at 3.6 watts has changed my perception of 2A3s. Now, I've got a lot of 2A3s, and let me just also tell you this, guys. So right now what we've got in here is we've got in these Kenrads. These are 1944 World War II manufacturer Kenrads. He came with very nice tubes. He came with Linlai 2A3s, and the tube complement it came with, guys, you're good out of the box. Most people will be happy with it. I'm happy to report you don't need to immediately go tube rolling, although I love to and I do it anyway. Currently, I've got a World War II manufacturer tongue sole smoke glass and a 1945 original box Raytheon 6SN7 VT231. So that is good. Now, the other thing I do, and I'll show you a picture close up on this. Here's what you need to be really careful of on your 300Bs, your 2A3s, your 45s. Guys, you got 4 pins here, but they are not all the same. There's 2 larger ones and 2 smaller ones. You must line these up and put only the larger ones in the larger hole and the smaller ones where they belong, because you will blow up your amp if you get this wrong. So what I do is I actually have a little gold marker type thing, and I put a gold circle around the side where there's the two thick pins, because let's be honest, sometimes when I'm doing listening and I'm tube rolling, especially when I have 15 different tubes I'm going through on a Saturday night, there's maybe some alcohol involved. So this makes it easy. It's a fool-free way. The other thing I do is there's a little silver mark here, you'll see. I just write it up, just flick it with the marker. And that tells me that this tube is not unused, that I have actually gone ahead and put about 15, 20 hours of time on this tube, as you need to with all new tubes, to make sure that they are ready to go and you kind of get that harshness out. So for me, I can take this out of the box and I don't have to wonder, do I need to give this tube several hours of burn-in time? I'm not talking about warm-up time. I know I'm ready to go, okay? So all you do is you just take the thicker pins and we just line it up there with the holes. And that's it. So we're ready to go, okay? But let's get back to the sound of the 2A3. This one offered me a fuller sound than I'm typically used to getting from 2A3s. Some people feel 2A3s can sound thin. This did not. This had a fuller, richer sound, regardless of the tubes. Obviously, the tubes would affect it, but I'm saying in general, that's what came from this, which gave me a lot of what I was looking for in the 45. But here's one of the kickers, guys. At 3.6 watts, I have other 2A3 amps. This thing smoked them. I mean, this thing, honestly, I felt as though this had the power of my 300Bs. It had no problem with vocal trance. It had a huge amount of swagger and rhythm and pace and timing, and it rocked with the vocal trance stuff. I'm talking about better than a lot of 300Bs with 8 and 9 watts. Now, guys, you can be a forum commando. I've read that 300Bs can't have bass or 283s can't have. Guys, whatever you believe, you believe. I don't believe what I read on the forums. I actually try for myself. Okay. And sure, of course, some amps have less bass than others and stuff like that. And let's be honest, you're not going to have an 8-watt 300B and be able to fill a 40 by 40 room with rock level. Okay. Yeah, it's going to be, you're going to have issues. So when this is matched correctly, though, this brings me an emotional connection that I have not experienced in all but less than maybe 15 pieces in my lifetime. I was so not expecting the sound that I got out of this. And I guess that's one of the things. It so blew me away from what I was expecting compared to other 2A3s. It's so far beyond the performance of other 2A3s. And I'm going to say so far beyond, frankly, what a 2A3 should be able to do, that I just was left stunned. And that's the right word. I still put this on and let me go back. Like with the 45, I may want to listen to some Louis Armstrong to start. And then when the liquor starts flowing, I may want to work my way up to vocal trance or 9 Inch Nails. Who knows? Okay, whatever. With the 45, you always reach the point where, okay, it's time to change the music. Yeah, I'm lazy. I don't feel like changing amps, letting it warm up. So I'm gonna try and listen to this genre on the 45. It doesn't work. So now it doesn't sound good. Now I got to get up and switch. None of that. Whether I'm listening to Maria Callas with the opera, whether I'm listening to Louis Armstrong, whether I'm listening to Frank Sinatra, just so open and airy. And then when I get into my vocal trance, so one of the songs, here's one of the things, let me give you a specific example. You know, one of my reference songs is Liquid Love by Above and Beyond. It's their live at the Hollywood Bowl version. And you can watch the video along with, listen to it however you want, so you can see what the instruments are. You can see what you should be listening for. You can see where people are placed on the stage. Now, I will say this, okay? I listened to this before and after I've received new Stealth RCA cables. I believe they're the V10 Enduras and the V16 Sakuras. Phenomenal cables, okay? Obviously, guys, if you're running $3 Amazon cables, it's going to change things. I am running good cables here. I get that. But I was listening and I would hear where there's the backup singer to her. First of all, she can sound anywhere from, she's borderline shrill or angelic, depending on your system. She was totally angelic in this when she came out, just heavenly sounds. And when the backup singers were going on, you always knew there was a guy and a girl. Actually, that's not true. On some systems, you just kind of knew it was a blob. On better systems, you knew it was a guy and a girl. On this system, I could actually hear bigger differences between the guy and the girl, but it wasn't in a detail way where things are tipped up or it's artificial or it's not natural. In a natural musical way where I could just lean into the music and the music was just inviting and it knocked it out of the park. I can't say that again. There is no way a 2A3 at 3.5, 3.6 watts should be doing this at this scale and huge scale shifts for swings, like when Frank Sinatra's orchestra kicks in on Fly Me to the Moon with Count Basie. On the 45, it was Frank, and then, kind of his orchestra kicked in. When this is on, it's like, there's Frank, the orchestra kicks in. It's like, holy crap, the orchestra just kicked in. It is unnatural what this amp can do. Guys, I don't get paid for this. I don't make money off this. I will call it as I see it. I had a pair of $46,000 Gauder acoustic speakers here. I did not like them at all. I've heard them 4 different times. I've heard them twice at shows, one at a buddy's house, and one in this system. And they were so bad, I didn't even do a video on them because it just wasn't worth my time. So I'm not here to make videos for the sake of making videos. I'm here to share my passion with you. I love this. And here's how far I'm going to go and say and what I'm going to do. So you're going to see several pieces that I've assembled. And I've had a lot of pieces come and go, but I'm now at the point where I've got several pieces that have entered that magical category. Okay. The Pink Fawn. Amazing, amazing. It is my new digital reference front end. Tobian 12FHs. Love these speakers. The Network Acoustics Network Switch. I've gone through probably 30 different switches. That thing, it's the best network switch I've had to date and filter. And Aric, guys, this is next level. I'm going to be doing a video on this. This is their monoblocks. We've got their preamp. We've got the Helene DAC behind me. Phenomenal. Yes, I don't even need to tell you the Aric is in that magical category. So I've assembled pieces that, guys, I've gone through multiple stands. I've probably had 40 different amps in this room alone. So when I'm talking to you about what I'm hearing and how much I love this is based off of a lot of experience. This isn't based off of somebody who's only heard 4 or 5 amps. Now, guys, you may not like this amp. I don't know. I don't care. I don't care if you buy it. Do whatever you want. Please don't go buying anything off of whatever I say. You got to do your own due diligence. How I hear and what I like is probably different than what you hear and what you like. I will say this, though. If you are in the market for any amplifier in the $6,000 to $10,000 range, maybe even more, you owe it to yourself to look into Aric Audio, do more research, see what other people have to say, talk to Aric. He will help guide you if whether or not his stuff is right for you or not. He's not here trying to sell you anything. He's going to take care of you. He really wants you to be happy with this. And that to me is very important, guys. It's about supporting the small business. I do boutique brands here. I don't do mass market stuff. The last thing this world needs is another video on Eversolo. I could go get 40,000 views if I reviewed the $499 Eversolo they wanted to send to me. I don't want to touch it, okay? This is the stuff that I love. This is magic. So what am I going to do to show you that? And I've decided, and this is a long-winded way, this is where I'm going with this, guys. Going to be a couple of more of these, but my first ever extra virgin olive oil, golden extra virgin olive oil award for an amplifier goes to the Aric Audio 2A3. Aric, amazing. It is amazing what you have produced with this. Now, I will say this, guys. I'm going to try and keep this down to just one. Actually, it won't even be that hard because there's not that many things that, to me, are magical. I'm going to keep it very limited in how many of those I give out. Again, there's going to be a couple more. The digital is phenomenal. The speakers are phenomenal. And my Aric is. But if we're talking 4 or 5 pieces now that I've heard that are in that magical over the span of 40 plus years, it goes to show you how few and far between, to me, magic is. And Aric, this is magic. Guys, I'm the Greek Audio Geek, and I approve of this message. Opa!